After understanding the map type in the non-primitive types, we learned about array and object and map. These are the types.
Recording stopped.
The primitive types.
Recording in progress.
The primitive types. Primitive types. We have a number, string, boolean, null, and undefined. These are the primitive types. These are all the data types of JavaScript. This is the final summary you have learned. Summary about data types. What are the data types and how to handle the various types of values. So in JavaScript, one more important you need to understand how to handle dates. You have to know handling date values. So you learned how to handle a number, how to handle a string, and how to handle an array, how to handle an object and map. And another important is how we can handle date. Technically, what is the purpose of date and how we can work with the date values in JavaScript. Generally, when you are designing a website where user have to schedule anything, the scheduling of work can be done by using date and time. That means he can schedule any task like appointments, like travel date times, like date of birth and all. We have to manage by using date. Working with date is very important. So the question is how to store date. For example, I am writing like this, var, so name, it is a string, some Samsung TV. Then we have price. Price is number. Okay. Next, we have manufactured. Manufactured. Manufactured is a date. How do we store the date? Here 2 points are there. You want date only to show as date, or you want date to handle some manipulations on it. So if you want to show as just date, then you can write like a string, like manufactured on 21, that is 2022, like this. This looks like date, but JavaScript will consider as string only. Now what is problem with this is it looks like date, it will print as it is. But if I want to know which weekday it came, is it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Not possible, because now this is not, this cannot be used for any kind of calculations. Suppose I want how many days of manufactured, that means from current date minus this date. So you cannot get that. Why? Because this is not as a date, this is as a string. So if you want to just display, that's fine. But if you want to do some manipulations on that particular date, based on the date you want to schedule something. That means you set an appointment, automatically on that day it will send an email alert saying that today you have this appointment. Such actions can be done only when our operating system recognizes this as a date. So for that, this is not the right way. Then how do we store the date values? So technically, date values are stored in memory by using a date constructor. We call it as date constructor. By using date constructor. What is a constructor? You will later learn in OOP concepts. I will tell you. As of now, you should note that date is a class. Date is a class. Actually, class means you can say here it is a pseudo object. Pseudo object. Already I told you, objects are considered as pseudo classes. Date is a class. It is a pseudo object. It looks like an object. So technically, with a set of members, with a set of members that can manipulate date. So if you want to store date values in memory, then you have to use a date constructor. So for example, var, suppose MFD, manufactured, is equal to memory is allocated for date by using new. Just like we allocated memory for array, here the memory is allocated by using new. So new is called as dynamic memory allocating operator. It is memory allocating operator. It is used to allocate memory for date. If I put an empty constructor, then what it will do is loads current date and time. It loads current date and time. That means if you don't mention any date, then automatically it is going to load the current date and time. That means now in MFD, you will have current date and time. It will store the current date and time. If you want to store any specific date and time, then we have to use var MFD new date. And here there are so many ways. Here you have to define as a string. Here as a string, you have to define the date constructor. Inside the date constructor as a string, you have to write year, month, day format. Year, month, day format. You cannot enter any another format. That means date must be in year, month, day format only. Date must be only in this format. It must be in year, month, and day. Any another format is not allowed. So already you remembered this when I told you HTML date picker. In HTML, we learned about input type date. There already we discussed this point that if you want to restrict date from this date to this date only, then you can put min and max. And there I already told you that it will accept year, month, day. So in JavaScript also, dates you have to display in this way. That is okay. That means how we can store a date. Let's see now. This is not good. We can simply use new date. I am not storing anything inside. Then what it should take by default the current date and time. Let's print document.write. We will print the details here. Name. So name is here name, and in the next line price. Price is some price. Okay, and manufactured. Manufactured, we are defining some manufactured here. And you can see in the output how it will display. It is going to display in the output like this. And by default, you see it takes the date and time values. Current date and time. So this is current date and time loaded if you don't mention any date. So I will copy this. Just example I will give here. This is the current date and time. Suppose we want to define a specific date and time. You see, here we have to enter year, month, day. So year 2022, month and a day. So order must be year, year, month, day only, right? So save. Now you can see it will show that year, month, day. It will display that. Time it taken by default some time. Suppose I am adding some time value. Suppose I said some 16, so 20, so like this. I am adding some time value. It will display like that. It will use that particular time. You have to just use date, space, time. But very important is while displaying, it is not in the same way how we want it. I don't want all this to display. I don't want all this to display. I want in a more simple way to display. So that means now how we can display date and display time. So because by default date and time are displayed in a format which we don't want every time. That means I don't want all this GMT and all these things. But by default, it will display that. It will display. So this is another example where we are defining, this is current date and time. This is specific date and time. Current date and time, specific date and time. We are defining specific date and time. That is how it is displaying. Now, next important, how to display the date. Because if I am trying to display as it is not in a clear format. So I want to display in a clean format. For that, JavaScript provides various date and time methods. JavaScript provides date and time methods. By using these methods, you can display date and time in a desired format. What are the date and time methods? Date and time methods to access date and time. These are the methods to access date and time. Access date and time. Actually, here, technically, what are the various date and time methods? We have methods like get hours. It returns the hours number in a 24-hour format. It returns the hours number in 24-hour map. That means, is it 16, 17, 18, 20? It will return in 24-hour format. Get hours, get minutes, get minutes. So it returns the minutes number. Minutes number will be 0 to 59. 0 to 59 is the minutes number. Because if it is 60, then automatically it will be next minute, right? It will be 0 to 59. Get seconds. So it returns seconds number. Seconds number also 0 to 59. And get milliseconds. Get milliseconds is it returns milliseconds. Milliseconds actually 0 to 99. That means 100 milliseconds equal to 1. Actually, here little bit confusion is there for the people while working with computer technologies, which I will show you. So generally milliseconds and two values are used actually. So you remembered when we used CSS transition time, I given as 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 milliseconds, like that we can give transition time. Actually, generally people have an habit of writing 1000 milliseconds equal to 1 second. And 100 milliseconds also equal to 1 second. Which one is correct? If anyone asks what is difference between these two, is it 1000 milliseconds equal to 1 second or 100 milliseconds equal to 1 second? So both are correct. Then what is difference? Both are correct. What is difference is, so this is, both are correct because this is 1000 milliseconds is CPU clock. CPU clock. That means when you are writing a program for CPU is, you can say 100 times faster. 100 times faster than general clock. This is for system clock. That means what you see on date and time, that is system clock. That means currently you can see date and time at the bottom. It is 4:40 p.m. like that. That is it CPU clock or system clock? System clock. It is system clock. System clock 100 milliseconds equal to 1 second. Generally in clock also, in your watch, 100 milliseconds equal to 1 second. That is general system clock. Then why 1000 milliseconds equal to 1 second? It is CPU clock. That means we write programming for CPU. When we write programming for CPU, you can say CPU time is 100 times faster than normal. If it is 100 times faster than normal, if I write 100, what happens is in 1 second, 1 fraction faster it will be. But we want exactly 1 second only. In that case, we have an habit of writing 1000. So programmers write for CPU. When you are writing a program for CPU, then we have to use how many seconds? 1000. When you are writing for clock, then you have to use 100. Here, generally, you see, suppose we have command prompt. Here I am typing time. Time will display system time. This is system time. In system time, 16, 41, 55.53. That means hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. Suppose here I am writing, so 16 new time. I am writing 42 and some 50 and milliseconds dot I am using, suppose 789, because 999 means 1000. Now hit enter. It says cannot accept the time. Cannot accept the time, because here the time will be less than 99. That means I given 89. Now it will accept. It is accepting, but it is not taking, because it is saying that you don't have permission to change the time. That's okay, because I am using command prompt. We have to change time from date and time settings, right? What is difference between previous error? Previous error cannot accept. This one it accepted, but only the point it says that I can't change because you don't have permission to change. That's okay. But what is milliseconds? Milliseconds means 0 to 99. 0 to 99 is equal to 100 milliseconds. So while writing for clock, system clock, use 100. While writing for processor, you write CPU, animations, effects, whatever you write, you have to write for CPU only. I will show you that how to handle. So we have hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. Next, we have get date. It returns date number. It returns date number. What is meant by date number? Suppose I return so as 21/2022. That means it will return date is equal to 20. Date is equal to 20. So date number is 20. On which date it is? Get date will return the date number. Next, we have get month. Get month. It returns the month number. It returns the month number, but here point is it returns the month number. So starting with 0 is equal to January. January. That means now I return 1. That means it's not January. It is February. It is February 20. It is February 20. That means it returns the month number. Month number will be in which format? 0. It will be from 0 to 11. 0 to 11. So 0 will be January. If it is January, then it will return 0. That is important. You will see. So starting 0 January. Okay. Next, we have get day. Get day. It returns the weekday number. In weekday number, 0 is equal to Sunday. 0 equal to Sunday, 1 equal to Monday, 2 equal to Tuesday, like that. So starts with Sunday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So 1 is equal to Monday. Like this, it will define. So what is problem is here everything is returned as a number only. Everything is returned as a number. So If I have to display date value with month name, weekday name, that will be difficult. For that, we have to implement some techniques I will show you here. Initially, get date, get month, get day. Next, we have get year. It returns the year number. Year number. It returns the year number. It returns the year number in 2 digits. Actually, this is obsolete. This is obsolete. Obsolete means no longer in use. We are not using this anymore. It is no longer in use. We are not using this anymore. So better use get full year. Get full year. It returns the year number in 4 digits. This is correct. So don't use get year anymore. It is obsolete. It is available. It will work, but we cannot use it. It will work, but we cannot use it. It is not recommended to use that get year. So always use get full year. Why it is not allowed to use it? Because JavaScript is there from 1990s. We are using computers from 1990s. Actually, do you know till now in the computer history, till now in the history of computers, one problem we faced in computing technologies, which was unsolvable problem, and it was a revolution. We thought that in future people will not prefer using computers because of that problem. But however, that problem solved. If anybody asked what is the biggest problem computers faced in the history of computers? So what is the biggest problem computers faced in the history of computers? So actually the biggest problem is you see, the biggest problem is Y2K. This is the biggest problem in computer history. Suppose, see, general thing is, suppose I want to pay 5,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees to any person. So 5K. What is this K represents? Thousands. So actually this Y2K problem is yearly. The last year was 1999 and the last date was in 1999 12/31. That is the last date. That means it is 12 month, 31 day and 1999. So actually in computers, we used to write 99, 2 digits. Now after that, next number should be 01 and 01. And after that 99, it will be 100. Right? Obviously it will be 100. Because how computer knows that after 99, 2000 will come? Because increment happens 111. They written a program like that. So every year 1 plus, increment plus, and put a value. In that case, after 9900. So how computer knows that after 99 it is not 100, it is 2000? Right? That means now this is becoming a problem. And even today, it is there. But what our developers done? They solved this problem by changing the date format from 2 digits to 4. That is the reason 2 digits year number is not accepted in computers. we have to enter 4 digits. That happens from 1999 2000 onwards. Before that, the computer people used to enter 2 digits year number, 95, 98, 99. But after that, they changed it to 4 digits. So this is one biggest problem we faced, because every computer in the world is affected with this. Every computer in the world is affected, because anybody doing some bills, calculations, finance and all their values will set to zero again. They have to reset every calculation because of this year number. So that is actually year problem. Even today it is there, but we don't use it. Means it will work, we don't recommend. For example, you see, I want to access manufactured dot get year. I am using manufactured dot get year. Get year will return the year number, and you can see the year number will return 122 as per what we discussed, because 1000 is 2000, means 100 is 2000, 101 2001, 2022 means 122, because before that it was 99. That is the reason it's not good. It will work, because I already told you na, JavaScript, we are extending JavaScript and using it, and whatever they developed in JavaScript from the beginning days, it is still available. Only the point is you don't use, ignore it, right? Some technologies, what happens, old features are removed and only new features are kept. But JavaScript is not like that. Old features are kept, new features are added. Old features will still work. Browsers which don't support, you can't use them. That means JavaScript have never removed anything. So everything adding all. That means what they designed in first day of JavaScript, it is still available. But we don't prefer using in the modern generation, because it will not be helpful. It will cause problems. According to their uh, area of working, it is suitable, but our modern technology is not suitable. So get year will work, but always prefer using get full year. Get full year, that returns the 4 digits year number. And observe here, I am writing here get month number, because it is January na. It returns 0. Will return